Hey everyone, welcome back. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here for this explainer, because today we're unpacking a really fascinating and honestly, deeply personal topic from the realm of relationship psychology. We spend so much of our lives chasing romance, building partnerships, trying to figure out if what we're feeling is, well, the real deal. But what happens when we look back and realize, wait a second, that connection wasn't at all what I thought it was? Today we're exploring a powerful breakdown of the relationship life cycle. Specifically, we're looking at 6 clear indicators that what you experienced might not have been true love at all. We've got a fantastic structured breakdown to guide us through these concepts. Okay, let's dive into this.
But before we can really understand the illusion of love, we have to establish a philosophical baseline. Read this with me. Love demands that we constantly improve, be more understanding, and practice patience. Think about that for a second. True love isn't just this passive, magical feeling that washes over you, right? It's an active, highly demanding process. It requires improvement. It requires a deep well of understanding. And perhaps most importantly, it requires immense patience. Keep this baseline in the back of your mind, because as we go through the signs of what isn't love, you're going to see a stark absence of these exact qualities.
Section 1. The illusion of love. Let's talk about the danger of moving too fast. So let's look at the very first sign, which usually pops up in what we call the honeymoon period. Think back to the beginning of a past relationship. Did it feel like you were literally strapped to a rocket? Those initial fireworks can be dangerously bright, so bright that completely blind us to reality. When things move incredibly fast with a partner, it's often a massive red flag that you're confusing a frantic spark for a lasting flame. The real danger of moving things too fast is that you completely skip the absolutely crucial foundational steps of, actually getting to know someone. And this brilliantly illustrates the core conflict. Notice how infatuation acts like a rocket. It thrives on pure speed and wants everything right now. It totally feeds on the rush. But genuine love, it's more like a growing plant. It takes time to develop, in a slow, steady, methodical build. If your connection was built entirely on a frantic overnight rush, well, you are likely experiencing the speed of infatuation, not the steady, patient timeline that true love demands. Which leads us directly into the second sign. Because you moved so quickly, you didn't give yourself the necessary time to see your partner as a real, complex, flawed human being. And this brisk, rushed pace, it creates incredibly unrealistic expectations. You literally start expecting them to be absolutely flawless. You project this picture-perfect, ideal image onto them. But as we all know, a very specific pattern plays out. Nobody is flawless. Actually, scratch that. Nobody is even close to flawless. Eventually, the mask slips. And when they finally show you their true colors, when they reveal their basic human imperfections, what happens? You get mad. You become deeply disappointed. If you find yourself holding onto anger just because your partner simply showed you who they really are, it's a huge sign that you were in love with a flawless fantasy, not the actual person standing right in front of you. Section 2. The emotional wall. This is where those barriers start getting built. As that initial rush of infatuation fades away and the disappointment starts creeping in, the relationship transitions into its messy middle period. The early sparks burn out, and instead of growing closer, the emotional walls just go right up. And that brings us to sign number 3, the heavy, suffocating weight of simply not feeling comfortable around your partner. It's incredibly tough when the person sitting right next to you on the couch starts feeling more like a stranger than a safe harbor. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we define the boundaries of love. If you aren't sharing your emotions, your struggles, or your secrets, if you're keeping your entire inner world locked away, the hard truth is, you haven't fully loved them. Vulnerability is literally the currency of true love. Without it, you aren't partners. You're just two people sharing a living space, heavily guarded by a massive emotional wall. And sign number 4 shows us the physical manifestation of that emotional wall. As the psychological barrier grows taller, physical and emotional withdrawal naturally follows right behind it. The relationship begins to actively, noticeably degrade. You become increasingly distant. I really want you to contrast this with the reality of a healthy partnership. Two people who are truly in love, they still want to be around each other frequently. They genuinely crave that proximity. But when the illusion breaks, that desire just vanishes. Instead of seeking them out, you find yourself actively creating space, consistently choosing distance over closeness. It's a painful contrast to what love is actually supposed to look like, isn't it? Section 3. The breaking point. When focus completely fractures. We're now entering the most difficult phase, where the foundation is visibly cracked. The distance has grown way too wide, and it's accompanied by this quiet, rising anxiety. Sign number 5 is the stark realization that your mind is simply elsewhere. Even when you're physically in the exact same room, your thoughts, your energy, and your focus have totally checked out. The relationship is fracturing, and your mental presence is almost always the very first thing to completely escape. So the crucial point is, are your tough conversations being avoided? Are you actively slipping away from arguments? You see, fighting can sometimes mean you actually still care enough to try and fix things. But when you avoid those tough conversations entirely, you stop emphasizing your partner's importance in your life. You're essentially giving up the ghost. When you no longer care enough to even argue or communicate through the difficult times, that person's importance to you has completely faded away.
Which brings us to the 6th and final sign in this relationship life cycle. It is by far the most distressing, the most visceral, and honestly, the most definitive indicator that it's over.
You develop a deep, pervasive anxiety. There is this incredibly heavy psychological weight pressing down on you because you know, deep down, you have something you need to get off your chest. The illusion has fully shattered at this point. You don't feel love. You just feel a sinking dread. You spend your days agonizing over how to break the news to your partner. That dread, that tight anxiety in your stomach, is your mind and body confirming what we've been unpacking this entire explainer. The love you thought was there simply wasn't. Which brings us to our final phase. Where do you stand? It's time for some self-reflection.
We've moved from the blinding speed of infatuation right through those heavy emotional walls, all the way down to the anxiety of the breaking point. Now it's time to turn the mirror inward, looking back at your own past, or hey, perhaps even your present. Where do you think you stand on your feelings?